Central Pennsylvania is hundreds of miles from any of our country's borders, but the talk about immigration hits close to home, especially in the center region.
Yeah, I spoke with a Penn State population researcher. He says when it comes to the need for a border wall, the numbers just don't add up.
They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people.
U.S. Representative Glenn Thompson from Center County says in his mind the conversation involving immigration became toxic under President Obama.
You know, when the president did what he did on the southern border with unaccompanied minors from South and Latin America, it just created such a climate of mistrust on immigration that nothing has occurred since then.
Penn State Population Research Institute actually keeps track of the numbers for things like immigration. Dr. Alexis Santos says during the 80s and 90s, the areas with the most people coming into the United States shifted from mostly Europe to Mexico and Latin American countries. But he says the number of people coming across the Mexican border has actually dropped off over the last several years.
There's at least zero net migration. So what we're seeing is that the same amount of persons that are arriving are leaving the United States from Central America and Mexico.
But it's not just undocumented Mexicans the president is trying to keep out. Mr. Trump has signed multiple travel ban executive orders blocking refugees from 6 Muslim-majority countries because
the idea of making sure that we're putting the safety of our country and our people first and foremost.
The bans were blocked under the Establishment Clause of the Constitution, prohibiting the government from favoring one religion over another. Until this past Monday, the president's own website had an article posted saying he would like a complete shutdown of all Muslims entering the country until representatives could figure out what's going on.
When it comes to Muslims, immigration, and terrorism, yeah, my own view is it's a myth.
Penn State law professor and director for the Center of Immigration Rights Clinic, Dr. Shobha Wadia, says extreme vetting is already in place.
It is not easy to be admitted as a refugee into the United States. Refugees are one of the most rigorously screened populations to the U.S., and in my own view, it's the last system that a future terrorist is going to use.
State College Borough inserted itself into the immigration debate this year when it announced immigration is a federal responsibility. The borough later clarified, saying they do not consider themselves a sanctuary city, though Professor Wadi explained the logic.
Part of the conversation around why local police should not be in the business of enforcing federal immigration law is that they are not trained to know the difference between a student from Pakistan who has overstayed her visa and a woman from Pakistan who is a U.S. citizen and former Fulbright.
Representative Thompson says he's glad State College walked back their statement and says he hopes someday soon people on both sides of the aisle can come together to write bipartisan immigration reform.
Oh, I don't think the rhetoric on either side helps the debate. To me, let's set rhetoric aside, come to the table, and move ahead with some good legislative solutions.